name is Kiana Bordador, and welcome to CNN, Congolese Network News. It is currently 7 in the evening, April 9th, 1951. Today, over 80 years ago, a horrible man was brought into this world. In honor of Leopold II of Belgium's birthday, we have a special broadcast for you tonight. Tonight on the spot, we have The Bleeding Trees, a magazine by Anouk Orbador, rightfully downgrading Leopold II. For those of you not familiar with Leopold's scandalous lies, here's the deal. Leopold Louis Philip Marie Victor was born today in 1835. He grew up in an unloving household with parents that wanted nothing to do with him. When he became King of Belgium in 1865, all that hatred exploded into greed. Leopold was the sole chairman in exploiting the Congo's forests for rubber, copper, and other materials such as ivory. The Congo Free State would later gain its infamy from its brutal mistreatment of local peoples. Earlier this week, I had a chance to travel down to the modern-day Congo and perform an interview with a child whose mother fell victim to Leopold and his mischief. Right now, I'm in the depths of the modern-day Congo. It wasn't until 1900 that Leopold's plot would be exposed to the public. Nobody knew what had been going on, and we let Leopold's hotbed fester here in the forest for over 10 years. Today, I have Iak, the child of Kara, a woman who fell victim to Leopold and his lies. She has agreed to perform an interview with me, with the exception that she is not shown on camera.
I was born in 1898 and my mother was 20 at the time. It would only be 2 years that I would have to live under Leopold. The European and US press exposed the conditions in the Congo in 1900. I was a very lucky child to have survived those 2 years. Many children born during the time of the exploitation were raised by the white men and then put to work as soon as they could walk.
Children in the Congo were often beaten, raped, and/or killed. If they weren't killed before they were 7, many of them were put to work. Some children also committed suicide because the work and stress put on them were too much for them to handle.
Really, my mother was actually very lucky. They put her to work at the age of 16 and it's amazing she survived as long as she did. She passed in 1913 at the age of 35, though at the time that was way past average lifespan for those who worked for Leopold. My mother explained to me that many people dropped dead from working. That was how crazy it was.
Before the interview ended, Iak decided to share her story with me.
Out of all the miserable days that my mother went through, she said that this particular day was the worst and most horrific day ever. Her friend, Ryako, were working as usual, but today the sun felt 20 degrees hotter and their bodies began to fail. My mother had heard rumors that people were being beaten for sitting down on the job. At the time she was pregnant with me, but Ryako wasn't. Ryako had sweat dripping down her face, her eyes were drooping and her knees were buckling under her. She looked completely awful. The blazing heat of the sun was getting to her head. She decided to sit down and evidently a white man caught her. He beat her senselessly.
Leopold II, whether he realized it or not, overworked many of these people. With over 8 hours working in the hot African sun, it's no surprise that many people drop down dead.
This emphasizes Leopold's thoughts towards human life. He didn't care at all. All he cared about was himself. Behind me are the trees that the Congolese extracted rubber from. Leopold caused pain and suffering for over 10 years. The Congolese were forced to collect ivory, extract rubber, build new railroads, and carry raw materials for miles. Those who rebelled were shot and beaten. Families were torn apart. Women and children raped. This is no longer a forest. This is a gravesite. Iak told her story, as not many were able to. Many suffered and died under Leopold. The Bleeding Trees is a magazine that provides factual and interesting information about Leopold and the Congolese. Leopold II of Belgium will always be remembered as the King of the Belgians, but to the Congolese, he will always be remembered as the mass murderer who ruined so many lives and families. This has been a special broadcast of CNN. I'm Kiana Bordador, signing off.
The king had struck. Leopold II